Welcome to the Oral History Podcast, featuring stories from the oral history website voicesofoklahoma.com, where Oklahomans have given generously of their time to tell their life stories for present-day listeners and for generations to come. Our entire collection is available on the website voicesofoklahoma.com. Subscribe to be notified of new Oklahoma oral history podcasts. Here's another interesting storyteller from voicesofoklahoma.com. Jeanne Eason Phillips was born August 26, 1924 in Etna and grew up in Slick, Oklahoma as the only daughter of 8 children. In Jeanne's younger years, the family moved near Sapulpa, where they enjoyed the convenience of electricity and modern plumbing. When the family moved to Tulsa, Jeanne attended Carver Elementary in segregated Tulsa and graduated from Booker T. Washington High School. She recalls her family shopping in downtown Tulsa, where they could buy clothes but were unable to try on garments before the purchase. Blacks were not allowed to dine at lunch counters, nor could they have ice cream at soda fountains. Jeanne attended Langston University, and when she married Garland Eason, they supported all 4 of their children as each of them earned a college degree. Their daughter Judy Eason McIntyre served 10 years in Oklahoma's legislature. And while having endured the pain of racism, Jeanne and Judy tell a very upbeat story of making Oklahoma a better place to live. Listen to Jeanne Eason Phillips' story on the Oral History website, voicesofoklahoma.com.
My name is John Erling. Today's date is January 23rd, 2013. Jeanne, would you state your full name, please?
Jeanne Eason Phillips.
And your date of birth?
August 26, 24.
And your present age?
Well, 89 until August 26. And I will be 90.
How do you feel about reaching 90?
Great. Actually, it's hard for me to really believe that all of a sudden here I am 90. I guess time passes fast when you're having fun. Seriously, I have to think about it. I'm getting ready to have a 90th birthday.
Well, I'm sure you're looking forward to it, aren't you?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yes. Yeah. Every one of them I look forward to. I've never been one of those that, well, when I'm in the 40s and going to stay. No. I'll welcome every one of mine.
We're recording this interview in the recording facilities of voicesofoklahoma.com. Joining us is a lady sitting over here. Could you tell us who she is?
That is my number one daughter, Judy Eason McIntyre.
Judy, thank you for joining us on this.
Thank you.
Judy is a former state senator. How many years were you a state senator for Oklahoma?
For 8 years and then 2 years in the House.
Judy is here to keep us on the straight and narrow on this thing, right? She's here to keep us straight.
Yeah, well, Judy.
So, Jeanne, where were you born?
I was born in a little town. Well, it must have been a community in Etna, Oklahoma, which at this time there is a sign there that says Etna, but I don't see any business or anything.
Etna, I think, is in Creek County.
Creek County, yeah.
Kellyville area. So then if you were born there, you lived there a short time.
Very short time.
And then where did you move?
Then moved to near Slick, actually, in a little area called Rose Hill, because I remember the school. The name of the school was Rose Hill. We went to school, and the church was the same building. And, of course, in Rose Hill, there was a minister. His wife was a teacher. Of course, he ministered the church and the school, and it was all
in one.
All in one.
All right, and so Rose Hill is in that same area.
It was in that same area. And then I went from there to Slick, through grade school at Slick. And I remember we lived a distance from Slick, Louverture, I think was the name of the school. There was a little old lady that lived right there who kept young ladies. It was a boarding, and I boarded out there. I happened to be the only daughter. I had 7 brothers.
And your dad died when you were how old? Really young?
Like 2 months before.
Okay. Let's talk about your mother first. Your mother's name and her maiden name.
Her name was Adinia Cheatham. She came here in territory time.
From Springfield.
Yeah, from Springfield,
Tennessee.
What kind of a person was she?
Judy likes to think that she's like my mother. My mother was, of course, a no-nonsense person, very active in politics, and she was a old school mom. Back then, you could start teaching when you finished high school, out of high school, and she was also a midwife. As a matter of fact, she delivered my second child, my daughter. My husband at the time was back out of the service and in school, and I was staying with my mom in the country. It was at Thanksgiving time, and I thought I had overeaten, but that was not. So she was early. About the time the doctors out there, he said, I don't need to do a thing. Thank God that she was a midwife and was able to take care of the whole thing.
So she was active in politics. Did Judy get that?
Oh,
from
yes.
her?
Oh, yes. She,
Tell them about, blacks could not go to some facility there in Sapulpa.
Oh, yeah.
Then the letter to Roosevelt.
She was very active in things like that. I'm sure she wasn't the only one that did things like this. But she had 5 sons in the service, and she went in to have something notarized. And when we got there, they said, well, this is not your day. Your day is Thursday that you have to come in and get this notarized. But she said, this is for my sons. And she said, but you still have to wait till you're doing. She said, I'll wait. And so she sat down and she sat there all day long.
So she came in on the wrong day.
She came on the wrong day. It was probably Monday. I'm almost sure it was on a Monday.
So she started waiting?
So she said, I'll just wait until my time. That's the kind of person. She sat all day, and they finally took care of her.
By the end of the day, they said, okay, we'll do this.
They went on.
And that's because she was black? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Exactly. And she said, with 5 sons in the service, and this had to do with some kind of, back then you had to have stuff notarized and documented. And we were 10 miles outside of Sapulpa. We still have that little acreage out there.
And then the letter to the president, Roosevelt.
I just remember her sending, and she did get a response. I can't remember.
But it was because of Hollis.
So why did she send the letter to President Roosevelt?
Well, he was at Enid. I think it was Enid. And he got into it with the bus driver.
Who did?
One of my brothers.
Who was in the military in World War II.
He got into it with a bus driver?
With a bus driver.
Because he didn't go to the back of the bus.
And there was an altercation. There was a fight. I understand he dragged the guy off the bus and right there on the ground had it out.
I suppose authorities came and...
Yeah. But because he was in uniform, nothing really came of it from the fact that he did give this guy a beating, but they got him back to the post.
Yeah, so the point was, here's this young man, what was his name?
Hollis. His name was Hollis Hughes.
He was black, but he was serving his country with a uniform on, and they still told him you have to go to the back of the bus. Yeah.
There's so many little things that, you never even realize that people, just because I don't look like you, right. That's the only reason. And I remember our father left for overseas from a little place called DeRidder, Louisiana.
Who's this?
My husband. He was going to be shipped out of a little place called DeRidder, Louisiana. And I went down to be there until he left. When I got there, little things like, after I had gotten into this little town, I got in line to get change or to ask a question about something. It was predominantly black people in this line here, and there was a little old man in front of me. That was before Judy was born. I was pregnant with Judy. She just looked up at him and says, I wish you colored folks would have your money ready. You don't know what you want. I had never been, we stayed to ourselves. My communication with other whites was strictly like when I would take the kids to get shoes or something else. I had made good rapport with the people there, and so I didn't have any problem. But this was just like a slap in the face. So I just turned around, walked outside, and stood there until I found somebody black and asked him to take me to the base. Also, we went into a little thing where the drugstores used to have ice cream and stuff. I wanted some ice cream, and so I went in and asked for some chocolate ice cream, and she looked at me and said, we don't have any. And I said, she said, I said, we don't have any. Well, Garland just said, come on, let's go.
That's my dad.
Yeah. He took me out. She just looked at me and decided, I don't have to serve you. Those are the kind of things that was a rude awakening as to really...
racism in our country, right?
And of course, these kids, when I would go downtown to get shoes for them, there were drugstores and things, and
we stayed in the car.
You got out. We didn't go to the drugstores, no, because you always wanted to. But, we couldn't go in there and be served. I couldn't take them in there.
Would that have been in Tulsa?
That was here in Tulsa. That was here in Tulsa.
Right.
So that's why it was really a real bad thing when Judy went to OU. And that was the real experience of open, blatant racism. And it made a real rebel out of her. I still think it was all right. We didn't expose them to that. And, of course, at the time, we never thought about them going to college and having this kind of thing going on. Because the dad said, well, you can go to any school in Oklahoma, but we're not paying out-of-state fee. Because, see, all four of them were right together. We had three of us at OU. Three in college at the same time.
And Daddy was the only one paying.
Yeah. We were from the age where you didn't believe in the wives working.
Your father's name and where he was from?
His name was William Hughes. He was from Tennessee. I don't have a lot of information on my dad because he died early. He was only 50-something.
And you were 2 months old.
Yeah.
So then your mother had to earn the money for the family. And
we were in the country, of course, and, everybody in the country made it. She didn't buy anything but flour and meal and rice. Everything else was produced in the garden, all the meats, and she canned everything. Everything. We had canned everything. She canned meats, she canned veggies, she canned anything that you needed was in our cellar.
So that's how you got through, because of the farm.
Yes. We did everything.
Did you ever have any stories told about grandparents, grandmother, grandfather?
The only thing is that on my mother's side, the Cheathams, they were mixed somewhere along the line, because my mother was very fair with gray eyes.
Mother looked white, and her brothers had freckles and eye colors like you. Mother's the darkest one out of all of them.
Yeah, everybody thought I was an in-law. But anyway, one of the things about family on her side, they were all fair with light eyes and things like that. And she had cousins who were dancers, and they were passing.
For white.
They were passing, and they came to the family and told them that they were going to leave the family because they could not be dancers where they were, because they were passing for white there, and they were going to leave the family, and they left the family and went white. And we chuckled when we see stuff on TV and say, well, that's maybe some of my folks there.
Especially the ones with the kinky hair.
Yeah. But also I had a first cousin, who used to go to the bars and things.
Because he was so white.
Yeah, they passed for white.
It's interesting you use the term passing. That's what you used it.
Yeah, that's what they said. They called it passing for white.
And I did just a little bit of research on Cheatham. I haven't confirmed it, but he was a Confederate general. And we think that we may be related to this Confederate general named
We were directly related to Harding, my mother.
Oh, yeah, and President Harding.
President Harding. She was directly related, and
now, how did that go about?
You know what?
He or his dad had a relationship with a black woman or something, because our cousins are named Harding.
Yeah.
President Harding had a relationship
with somebody in our family.
On my mother's side.
Probably looked white.
Mm-hmm. Pictures we had of the families, they all had long hair.
We had some pictures in their hair. They're holding their heads in their hair, and they still got hair hanging.
Brothers and sisters, you had how many in the family?
There were 8 of us, 7 boys.
And where were you in the birth order?
I was number 6. I had 2 younger brothers.
How did this work? You're the only girl, and you got all these older brothers. And
well, a lot of people never knew my mama had a daughter. I was just one of the boys.
Were you a tomboy probably back then?
Well, I didn't do girl stuff. I never played with dolls or anything like that. I shot marbles with my brothers, and I was a good shot.
With a gun?
We put cans on the fence and then shoot them. And that's why she sent me to boarding house, because she wanted me to be a lady.
Did that work?
Oh, yeah.
Tell us about the first house you remember. Did you have electricity in the house?
Oh, no. The home in Mounds, Oklahoma, we had a big house there, right? I remember it was 2 stories. We had one upstairs. That was the one that was close to the church.
Did Mama own it?
It belonged to the family. It was just a big family house. We had a big barn, and we had a smokehouse where they hung the meat, where they smoked the meat. In the country, that's what you did. You raised everything. They even made molasses. And that was an interesting thing, because I remember whatever they put in the middle of this thing, there was a horse hooked onto it, and he walked around and around, and in the middle was the fire. I don't really understand how it was, but I just remember that horse that would walk around.
So he would create energy.
He would, and there was a fire that made the syrup.
Maybe it had to be turned a lot.
Yeah, like this big table here, and something was in the middle there that made the thing, and he walked around to make this.
It's probably stirring them.
It was a stirring.
Yeah. Did you have indoor plumbing, outdoor plumbing?
Oh, no. We had outdoors, and bathtubs were tubs. I've got a mark from backing up against one of them.
A tub?
A tub?
Taking a bath.
Was it hot or what?
Yes, it was hot. It had to be warm in there when you were taking a bath. And
so they boil the water or something?
Yes. You had to warm the water to take a bath.
Right. So that wasn't every night now as you took a bath, was it?
Oh, no. I'm sure we did it on Saturdays.
Saturday.
Saturday.
And then I suppose many of you took a bath in the same water.
Yeah, I'm sure those boys did. I don't know. Of course, I was always...
She was treated like a princess, so she probably didn't
I was the only one. Nobody took a bath with me, or if they took it after, I didn't realize it.
Right.
But
no electricity in the house. So how did you...
Lamps.
Kerosene lamps. How did you heat the house?
With a stove.
Wood stove or coal?
Wood.
Pot billets.
Wood burning. We had wood burning stoves. Now, of course, you cut your own wood. There was plenty of woods there. But we never had coal. I don't ever remember any coal.
How about in the summertime, though? You didn't have air conditioning, I know that.
No.
So how did you cope with the heat in the Oklahoma summer?
You know what? You become accustomed to whatever the situation is. And if you've never had it, you don't miss it. But once you get it, like, I can't handle the heat.
Mother cannot handle anything hot.
I can't handle the heat now. And all the years I worked in air conditioning with a jacket on, I just don't tolerate the...
Did electricity come to that house?
Well, no. The electricity came in this old house out from Sapulpa where my mom sat in. That was our last move we made.
To Sapulpa?
Yeah.
The one that we
10
have
acres,
now?
outside out there.
So when you moved to that house...
We got electricity.
You didn't have running water, did you?
No, we had a well.
Oh.
We had our own well because we had a nice big cellar out there. That's where you went when the storms came.
Mm-hmm. Sapulpa, then, that's when you begin to get modern appliances, like electricity, maybe indoor plumbing then.
Yes.
Did you get a phone then in that house? Remember? No?
We didn't have until, I don't remember.
Maybe when you were married.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was much later on.
It was much later on.
Tell us then about your grade school, again, then, where you went to grade school.
Well, that was in Slick. That was when my mom had me in the boarding school so that I would be close. I was young. I would be close. I wouldn't have to go a long ways. So I would be in walking distance of the school. There was a little old lady there. And I remember, I don't know where she came from, but she was like, she kept girls. We would all have to come in, and she had a big, long table, and we had to sit at the table, and we had to do just, you don't do this. And she was one of those. That's what I remember about her. She was so prissy and so ladylike.
You would have been 6, 7 years old
Yes,
then?
I would have been 6, 7. I was there until I went to Bristow. I was there until about in the 6th grade.
But then that wasn't year-round. That was just during school, right?
Yeah, that was
And then you'd come home in the summertime.
Yeah. And, of course, when I came home in the summertime, that was fun and games. And the interesting thing is, near our home, there was a white couple, and they had a daughter. We used to meet. Our homes were not far apart. Mm-hmm. We played together all the time. And the thing I remembered about, and I think her name was Mabel, she was always wanting her hair to look like mine. Of course, she had long blonde.
She wanted black hair.
And I had long hair, too. But it was not like hers. And she was always wanting her hair to look like mine. I still remember that.
Yeah.
And I often wondered whatever happened.
So she was the only white family.
Oh, my brothers, there was a young man there who used to come and play marbles with my brothers all the time. See, apparently, the idea of black and white didn't even register with us, with these families, because we were just friends.
Economically of the same level, I suppose.
Yeah,
too.
exactly. That's exactly what that amounted to,
Remember back then, what did you have for breakfast? What did you eat?
Well, my mama made biscuits. In the country, you had biscuits and gravy, and we did rice. And
sometimes she cooked rabbit, didn't she?
That's when they were hunting. You didn't cook that for breakfast. But, sometimes we had chickens because you had chickens all the time. That was a meat that you always had because you had plenty of chickens and you had your own eggs,
But she cooked a heavy breakfast.
Oh, yeah. They used to eat a lot. But with boys, you have to have a lot of food. I don't know how she did. I look back at that.
So when you look back on the boarding school, was that a good experience for you?
Yes, it was. And, of course, it was a funny thing because she was such a...
She was Miss Manners, maybe?
Oh, yes. Miss
and then Mother sent us to Miss Manners School, but it didn't work.
But I think all of that helps. At the time, you don't think too much about it, and you think that this is a lot of nonsense. But all of this helps to develop you. I came to Tulsa in the 9th grade, and I spent 1 year at Carver, my 9th year.
That would have been junior high school then,
Yes,
wasn't it?
junior high school. That was
Carver.
Carver, My brothers had moved here. Frank was living here. Then he went to California, and then Willie, my oldest brother, moved here, and I stayed with them and finished high school here in Tulsa.
You said you went to 9th grade at Carver here in Tulsa.
Yes.
Then you would have been how old?
14.
What do you remember about Tulsa then? 1936, 7, 8, 9, I suppose. What did you do for entertainment? What did you do in Tulsa?
Let me tell you. I came here in the 9th grade, and I went to Carver. And when you'd come in from another school, all the newcomers had to be tested. So they put us in this big room. That's where I met my very best friend. She came from Pahuska, and I came from Bristow to Tulsa. They put us in this big room and tested us so they could decide which division. They had divisions that they put you in, 1, 2, 3, 4. We sat close to the young lady that I met that became my best friend. We were placed in the same division. We were placed in number 1. And I'm glad that they stopped doing that because, you see, that caused problems. You were placed in 1, 2, 3, and 4. Number 1 was smart, and children knew that. Oh. And you had problems with it.
Were both blacks and whites attending Carver then?
No. All of this was black.
And segregated Tulsa.
Yeah. And my kids, there was no whites in school when they went to school. And we all went to Booker T. Washington. I finished there, and all 4 of my kids finished at Booker T.
What year did you graduate from Booker T?
42.
Where did you actually live when you came to Carver?
It was Madison. I think it was near where Pine.
So that was an all-black community.
Oh, yes, all of that.
Right. All your activity then...
Everything was in that area. And, of course, Greenwood had businesses, drugstores, theater, and all of that when I was here.
So you could go there then?
Oh, yes.
Greenwood.
It was really, talking about Black Wall Street, they had come back, apparently, from the race ride. I don't know what it was like doing that. But when I was here, Greenwood was really up and moving. So I
had everything that you all needed.
Yes, everything. Because every Sunday, I still go to Vernon. I joined that church when I was 15 years old.
Vernon.
AME, right there on Greenwood.
The church.
It's Methodist. African Methodist Episcopal. It's right across from the Greenwood Cultural Center.
I joined that church, and everything was right there on Greenwood. After Sunday school, we would walk down to the drugstore. Drugstores had soda fountains, and you could sit there. Where Jack's Memory Chapel is, it was on Greenwood. There was a hotel. Place. A hotel was right on the end of the street there. It was a big hotel there. And across the street, they had areas where musicians would come in, and they had big-name musicians.
You never had to come downtown Tulsa then to shop?
Yeah, I did.
When you needed to buy clothes and so forth, did you come downtown?
Yeah, you could shop, but I understand that you couldn't try hats on. I was told that.
Was that only for blacks?
Yes. Yeah.
Only blacks couldn't try hats on?
Only blacks.
Some of the stores would have been
Vanderveers, Seidenbach's.
Clark's Good Clothes?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
That's the only time then you would have to come to the white community, so to speak.
The only time was to go downtown.
And then weren't there restaurants that you couldn't go to?
We couldn't go in to take the kids in there to have a soda or anything like that. No, we didn't do that. You didn't eat in the restaurants or sit at the counters.
And how did that make you feel, or did you just take it as that's the way life is?
Well, this was the rules.
Nothing inside you said, I'm just as good as the whites.
Oh, yeah, you realize that. But you realize there was a difference, that these places were owned by the white people. Mm-hmm. They owned it all. And if they said no, you knew that it was a no. There was a no there, not blacks and whites. It was black here and white here, and that's the way it was.
Yeah.
Until the time came when they really started doing the sit-ins and things.
Of course, the race riot was in 1921. Yeah. And by the way, I noticed that there was an Omaha race riot in 1919, resulted in the brutal lynching of a Will Brown, and a public rampage by thousands of whites who set fire to the Douglas County Courthouse in downtown Omaha.
I heard about it, which I did not know.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But it followed more than 20 race riots that occurred in the Red Summer of 1919. So we have that kind of thing going in 1919. Yeah. And then, of course, there were a lot of lynchings in the South and so forth. So it was not surprising that Tulsa would get involved, but we weren't the only ones.
No, we weren't. No. And I think a lot of that had to do with when the black soldiers came back from World War I. Mm-hmm. My grandfather on my dad's side came back, and they saw another world. Daddy told us the French were told by white soldiers, and my grandfather said that they told them that they were like monkeys, and the French would ask to see their tail. Can you imagine?
We need to know that. We need to hear that.
Yeah. So when they did come back, they saw a different world, and the thing that you were asking, am I as good? That's what really started, I think, that process. With that, then came the anger, the riots, the lynchings, and all of that.
So were you, both of you then, told stories about the race riot?
I never heard about it until later.
I didn't either.
They didn't talk about it.
I found out that Dale, my husband now, mother, was here in the race
and she
riot.
died, and then that's when we found out that she'd been there. She never said anything.
Yeah, because she was right there on Pine. They had a house right there on Pine. And he said that they had a white friend who kept them from burning their house down.
I remember you saying that. And I think they just didn't talk about it because mother of them didn't want us being that angry black person. So I went to OU when I was called the N-word in class. I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, see, they were shielded from all of this.
Which was good and bad.
Yeah, I think that there's good and bad in both ways, but we did not want them to start hating or having your mind made up. See, I had made excuses for them not being able to go in and have a soda. I made excuses.
What would you say?
We don't have time. I've got something else. You know, it was just... It didn't occur to them. They had no idea that it was just because they were black that they could not go in. They didn't know that.
Right.
They did not know that.
But in your family, at least, you didn't talk about the race riot because you didn't want them to be angry.
I wasn't familiar with the race riot myself.
And then the other side, the white side, it seemed like there was a cover-up because it didn't make it into the history books. So we're talking about the 30s and the 40s and the 50s. It still was not there. It didn't become really known because I talked to people that had lived here, and it wasn't until they were 60-some years old that they discovered that there was a 1921 race riot.
Right.
So both sides were trying to cover this thing up.
And we had a lot of people in our church. When I look at the survivors and stuff, I was like, what? I didn't even know they were in the riot. They never said anything.
But wait a minute. When I came here, they didn't talk about the riot. I didn't know. At my age, I didn't know about the riot.
When do you think you first learned about it, and how surprising that had to be that you were living in the very area where this riot took place?
It was after I finished high school.
Did you know about it when you went to Langston?
That's probably when you
first
went to Langston. Then is when I remember. Because when I came here in the 9th grade, there was never any talk. Nobody mentioned anything about the race riot.
So in 1942, you graduate from Booker T.
Right.
But in 1941, we have Pearl Harbor. How old were you when you graduated from high school?
17.
You were 17. So you were 17 then on Pearl Harbor Day. Do you remember the day that you heard about Pearl Harbor? Do you remember that day?
Yes.
It was on a Sunday.
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 Okay, yeah.
And I'm thinking that after Sunday school, we had left church and gone to Williams Drugstore, which was right down the street. And the word came that we were in war. And, of course, then you start thinking, what does that mean? You didn't know what that really meant. You was thinking that something's coming here. You know, the war was going to be
right here in Oklahoma.
Right here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was our thinking, that they getting ready to start fighting us right here.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't realize that it was somewhere else. But then it didn't take long for you to realize that they start checking the young people out. The first thing you know, the young men was being called in. You got numbers. I think how they started off giving them numbers. And when your number, and I think you had to be 18 years old when they first started.
You were right in that age bracket where you knew young boys.
Yeah, all of them. And then by the time I went to Langston, they were cleaning that place out, all the guys.
Because Daddy had to go.
Yeah, he went to
Virginia
Tech. And he knew that he was going to be called, so he transferred from there to be at home because he lived in Oklahoma City. So he'd be close to home when he got ready to leave, and that's what happened. He was drafted from there.
Let's talk a little bit about when you were in Booker T. What about style of clothes? Wasn't it way back when ladies wouldn't be able to wear pants in public?
We didn't wear pants.
You didn't wear pants?
And we didn't wear pants when I was there. You get put out of school.
Yeah.
I graduated in 1963.
What about style of hair and clothes in Booker T?
Oh, I tell you, the thing was a big
Pompadour
roll right here. I had a huge one because I had lots of hair. And the ones who didn't, they had rollers that you would put in there so that it would stand up. I think that picture that I had, that picture with you when you were a baby that I sent
to Daddy.
Yeah, I had one of those big
pompadour like.
You had a big pompadour here, and then the other hair was turned under.
What kind of music did you kids like at that time?
What kind of music? You know, it's been so long until I don't remember.
Like Calloway or.
Oh, you know, that was Jitterbug. Yeah, that's what it was. They were doing the Jitterbug. I mean, fast moving and scooting under your knee.
Did you do all that?
Yes,
Did you do it?
That was good.
Okay.
Seriously, though, I was a good dancer.
You could probably do a little dance right here, right now, couldn't you? Huh?
No. I can't imagine Mother.
Oh, yeah.
So,
that was a great question.
The high school experience was good. Did you enjoy being a student?
Oh, yeah.
Can you name some friends back in Booker T days?
My very best friend was Ira Davis. She came from Pawhuska to Tulsa, and I came from Bristol.
She got her PhD, and she was Dean of Nursing at TU.
Your best friend?
Yes.
And then William
Lewis
physician.
Harris, his dad had a drugstore right across from my church.
May Catherine Copeland,
Yeah.
Robert Copeland.
She's still, yeah.
You must have done a lot of dating in Booker T in high school because...
Yeah.
But no, we see how attractive you are here at 89. I can only imagine the way you were in high school. You had a boyfriend every day.
I was so used to boys. Boys was always my friends. I always had lots of boys for friends. When I went to Langston, and this was to wake her up on this boyfriend thing, I went in the summertime when the football fellows was there practicing.
Let me just say then, you graduated from Booker T, and then you went right to Langston? Right Okay, so now you're in Langston.
Yeah. Like I say, I'm so used to boys, all these brothers, and all boys was just kind of like brothers to me. And the guys were so nice when I was there in the summertime. They were practicing, and I had a little job at the canteen there. They were all like brothers to me. They were so good football. And until one of the guys said, you know what? I don't want to be your brother. And it just hit me that I'm taking everybody for granted. They're not interested. He said, I'm not interested in being your brother. So
I hadn't heard that one.
Then I thought, well, they're not being nice to me just because they want to be like my brother.
They wanted to be boyfriends.
Yes. That was the first time I'd ever heard anything like that, and I never even thought.
When did you meet Daddy? When did Daddy come? Was he there when you got there?
No. He came after.
God.
He came because he transferred in there.
Did you date somebody before Daddy?
Oh, yeah. A couple of guys.
The fact that you went on to further education, that was a big deal, wasn't it? Or was that an automatic? Did your mother say, even in high school, you're going to college?
It was just part of, like, my kids didn't realize that when they got 18 that they were grown. Judy always said, if I had known that, I would...
Well, we were babies. We couldn't spell college, but we knew we were going to college.
Yeah.
Didn't know what it was.
High school was not an end of school. College was the end of that until you decided to do more. And it was just an automatic thing with us. And they knew from the beginning that when they finished high school, that Dad had already said, you can go anywhere in Oklahoma, but we're not paying out-of-state tuition.
So you have to give a lot of credit to your parents for driving that kind of education culture.
Oh, yeah. My mom was very, my older brothers had to drop out of school. But they all got trades.
Made good money.
That was in the 40s, and we even have families today who are telling you've got to go to college, and they're not going to college.
Yeah.
And here you had it in your DNA way back then.
Yeah, it was just...
And even though your mother never went to college.
Well, no, but she continued her education however they did it, but she was always into education.
And Mother always read to us. She read poetry. We got great books of the Western world, which I was mad about because I wanted dolls and other stuff. We got how and why books when we were real young, and then the Britannica. So we were always surrounded by learning.
Mm-hmm. My kids, I read all the time to them, from Beowulf to Thomas Hardy. And they all became quick readers, and they said that was because they didn't want to hear all that stuff that I was reading. But we was always surrounded with books. And I bought the Britannica because it was not always easy to get to the library for things. And I still have that whole big set of Britannicas.
Encyclopedias that you still have. Yeah. You remember when you could first wear cosmetics? Was that a big deal?
Not to me, because I never got into it.
Mother to this day does.
Only time I had makeup was when I used to do a lot of local modeling.
Oh, yeah.
And they would make me up. But I never learned how to do it. I just never learned.
You didn't need it.
Well,
you're natural.
Well, my husband said, you don't need all that makeup. You don't need it.
What about lipstick? Did you wear lipstick?
Well, yeah, I wore a little lipstick.
Mostly gloss, clear.
Well, tell us about modeling. Who did you model for?
Locally, sororities and fraternities and different clubs. But I was a fill-in when Ebony Fashion Show would come here. That was before they got to be so big.
Ebony Magazine.
Ebony Magazine, right.
Yeah.
So they would come here.
They would come and put on shows, and I would fill in. That was before they got real big. They didn't have a lot of models.
Was there a modeling agency then that you went through? It was just, they knew who you were.
Yeah.
And they called you, would you like to be in the show?
They needed extra models to fill in.
Did you ever think that would be a career for you? No? Did you enjoy it?
Well, it was fun for me.
Did you get paid?
No, I didn't. That was a freebie.
No, I don't think she would have been thinking about that because Daddy had her in school as PTA president.
Well, no, you guys had me in school. I followed them all the way through. I made sure I knew everybody's teacher and everybody's teacher knew me. I think that's a big problem we have now. Parents don't follow up their kids. Mine, when they started school, everybody thought I was teaching at Ralph Munch.
Because you were there so much.
Because I was there.
And she was always the adult sponsor there at our sock hops and stuff. I was always having to look over my shoulder because she was there.
Yeah. Let's talk about Langston then. Were there particular subjects that interested you? And did you graduate then from Langston?
No, I got married in my junior year.
She got pregnant.
Yeah.
I was speaking at Langston when I first won. They had accused me as a black legislator not being supportive of Langston. So I said, listen, I got a stake here in Langston. What are these hills? I was conceived. Mother was in the audience. She wanted to kill me. But she got pregnant with me her junior year.
So we got married.
And after that, I didn't have any more trouble with Langston.
Yeah.
But anyway, tell him about Langston, your experience.
You went 3 years there then.
Yeah.
And what were you in?
Yeah.
You were in English or something?
I loved English literature.
In French?
I had a French teacher who was a Haitian, and he was so elegant. He spoke so great. We were just so fascinated with him. I did enjoy the French class, and I did well in that. But psychology and English literature were my favorite.
Was that a shock when you knew you were pregnant and you would drop out of school?
Yeah, well, it was kind of a shocker, but I was wearing a little engagement ring already, and we were going to get married. So that took care of that.
During that time is where Daddy got inducted into the military?
Yeah, he was called.
Because I was 9 months old when Daddy came from France.
And you were born when?
45.
In 1945.
May 21st.
The war was ending in 1945.
Yeah.
But yet your father, his name again?
Garland, Othello, John Stanley Eason. But he went as Geo Eason.
How many years were you married to him?
26.
26 years.
Mm-hmm. He died suddenly.
He was 46 when he died.
Oh, and of what?
We don't know.
No,
he fell in bed.
No, he got sick over a weekend. He had never been sick, and they diagnosed it as inflammatory vasculitis, which means actually nothing. Something attacked all the vital organs. Because for an autopsy, he had never been sick. And over a weekend, he got sick. And I jokingly said we had some kind of something that weekend. Somebody got married that I worked with at Springer. And I said, Garland must not really be feeling good because he missed work, and he never missed work.
Never.
He never missed work. Never missed a day of work.
And what was his job? What did he do?
He was at the post office.
Supervisor at the post office, and he had 2 jobs.
He worked at Red Top where you clean up.
Yeah.
Maintenance.
Yeah.
That's why he told us there were 3 of you going to be in OU at one time. I'm the only one paying. No Fs. You get an F, you will pay for it.
So here he really was the breadwinner and worked 2 jobs to put you kids through school.
All 4 of us.
And he had 3 at OU at the very same time.
Exactly.
That's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
When I look back, Mother remembers this, but, Daddy was so cheap, I thought. I mean, the ice cream man came, we wanted to get stuff, and he always said, no, you all are going to college, and I'm the one paying for it. So, no, unless you have a job, you're not getting it. So when I did get a job at Southern Hills, only making $2 and something for a 3-hour shift, I had to put it in a checking account with Daddy and couldn't get it out unless he signed it too.
And what did you do, Judy, at Southern Hills?
Oh, I worked on the buffet line in a white uniform and served food and learned table settings, learned about foods.
All of my kids worked in high school.
And I worked until I finished OU there at Southern Hills.
Okay, now you were the oldest of the 3? Mm-hmm. Your mother referred to that experience at OU. And when you came to OU, tell us how you were received there.
Well,
what year would that have been?
63.
Okay.
Right after I had come from the March on Washington that I didn't understand.
And you went to that March on Washington?
With our church.
Okay, I want to talk about that too, but let's talk about your OU experience first coming there.
Okay, when I first got there, I realized that they had 1 black student per dorm. Nothing to do your hair. You couldn't go to any of the beauty shops or anything there. But I remember when I got there and the white student was there and their parents were there, they were telling me I had to leave.
You were there first.
I was there first, but I had to leave.
Yeah, they came later.
The white parent did not want their daughter in a room with me.
As a roommate.
As a roommate.
And she called home telling us. Mm-hmm. And we said, no, you don't leave. If she does not want to stay there, she has to leave.
So I stayed, and then I can remember...
Okay, then what happened then? Did that daughter leave? Did that white girl leave?
Yeah.
And did you get another roommate?
Yeah, and then they left. Eventually, I just ended up...
By yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which was the best deal going.
Yeah, she did.
I never got a roommate, so I had a private room. It worked out really fine.
I paid to be black, didn't you?
Yeah. But that's why I was telling Mother them that they focused on education, but they didn't tell us about the real world. People see me now and they think, oh, she's just angry, but I evolved into that. And thank God for my parents that I was able to move back to some sanity and civility. Because I got called a nigger in the classroom, and there was nothing you could do about it. J.J. Ryan, the School of Social Work, he was still alive when I was taking classes, and I raised my hand, and he said, nigger, And you answered the question.
Oh, my.
Yeah. And then you walked on campus, and from my dorm to the library or wherever I went, it was black bitch, nigger, just the whole bit.
Really
now, I
bad.
soon got to be friends after a while with girls in the dorm, and I'd lie out in the sun with them when they were suntanning, which I didn't understand. But I had long sleeves on. But they got so red, I put Noxzema on. So we were just like typical girls in the dorm. But once we got on campus, and I said, oh, hi, Margaret. Margaret didn't know me. She wouldn't speak to me outside the door.
How are you processing all this?
I cried. I called home, begging Daddy to let me come home and leave that place.
Yeah.
Daddy let me call for a month, and then after that, he said, I heard him tell the operator, tell her to write. That's what I had to do.
Tell her to write.
To write me.
Jeanne, how were you taking all this?
Well, there's a whole lot to be said for prayer. Because since we didn't prepare them, you can't really prepare anybody for this. You can't prepare.
Well, it hadn't happened to you.
No, you can't really prepare. But I knew it was there.
Yeah, but
I knew it was there, but I was not confronted with it. And it was not in the schools where she went because there was nobody there white. You know that this is going to happen. You know that once they get their education, there's nothing that anybody can do about it. You can take everything else, but you can't take that away.
Telling me.
So we just grinned and bared. That was about the bottom line.
When she hung up, you and your husband had to be.
Yeah.
Did you ever do this kind of talk? Well, maybe we should let her come home? Or?
No, we never thought about, we really never thought about. They were going to stay there until they got put out because we were not going to have them come home because of this kind of thing. Because in the first place, we knew they were smart enough to make it. They had the capacity to learn.
Okay.
And we knew that.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't raise it at dummies. You know, they like that crazy, but they were smart. So
watch it, Baba.
Yeah, but you know, what a kid is capable of. We knew that they were capable.
Right. If she would just stick it out.
All they had to do is stick it out and apply themselves.
Right. Now, along about this time, Dr. George Henderson, had he come to the campus?
Yeah. Let me go back. My first year, there were 50 black students. When we had orientation, they told us half would be gone at midterm and half were. They found a way to get rid of you. Clara Lupa's son, Calvin, was there with me. There was this history teacher that said, if you black, you can make no more than a C. Calvin got in the class.
Calvin Looper.
Looper got in the class, and of course, he got a D or an F. I can't remember what it was. I didn't even try it because Daddy said he was not going to pay for any class a second time. I'd have to earn the money, and there was nowhere to get a job.
We should just say that Clara Looper, of course, led the sit-in at the Fountain Restaurant in Oklahoma City.
In Oklahoma City.
And that became nationally known.
And then, see, what happened is, what for me was the beginning of the turning point, because I spent time crying. The girls would harass me at night, beat on the doors, and I was scared to death. You didn't have a telephone, you didn't have a TV, you didn't have anything. And I didn't know what they were doing. Anyway, so then you had the beginning of the civil rights. You know, that was that going on. You had the war in Vietnam. And I got caught up in all of that. But I wasn't crazy, as Daddy told me. I wasn't there to save the world. I was there to get an education.
Were you an activist on campus?
Oh, yeah. My first husband, everybody thinks I was just married to Bernard. My first husband was a basketball player there from Shawnee, Howard Johnson. People who call me JJ, Judy Johnson, they go back a long way.
Okay.
We dated 3.5 years and we stayed married 8 months.
Okay.
But he was kicked off the basketball team by Coach Stevens, I think it was. That kind of sparked me getting involved because at that point they recruited athletes differently. All the other stuff was going on. And I got right in the middle of everything. And we went to George Cross's.
The president?
The president, to the home, and we talked and made demands. We went to the football games and passed out literature about the language we used, the revolution and all that was coming. As a result, I think you used to have the newspaper clippings. They had my name in there. We were able to get George Henderson That was the beginning of turning OU around.
He was a professor there, came from the Chicago area.
Yes, African-American.
I have interviewed him, and he's on our website. He came with friendship with Martin Luther King and some of those people. Mm-hmm. So then he came and he became your leader, didn't he?
Yes, he did. What was good about that is that we just had raw emotions, unbridled anger and rage, which could have been very dangerous for us. But when he came, that was probably the best thing because he represented that parental, My dad was too far away, so I wasn't scared he wasn't going to be there to do it. But Dr. Henderson toned the rhetoric down and calmed the seas and helped us to see that we could achieve the goal, but we don't have to be angry, ignorant, or violent.
Well, he took on the spirit of Martin Luther King.
Yes, he did.
And he could have gone the other way, could have been Black Panther or
he could have.
Anything to stir it up. We're talking about 63 and 64, and 63 was the March on Washington. Did you go?
Oh, no. We sent a group from the church. That's where I said the prayer comes in, because we didn't know what would happen. Reverend Ben Hill was the one who set this up. And it was from Vernon, my church.
Pastor of
Vernon AME, the church we belonged to.
Now.
And he said, we're stepping out on faith here, taking a bus load, and we will be going, as he said, on faith. And you could decide whether you wanted your child to go or not.
So, Judy, you didn't go to that, did you?
Yes, I did.
Oh, you did? Did you go through the church?
Yeah, like I said, I belonged to this church since I was 15.
So my sister under me from California.
And I sent two of mine to the March on Washington, Judy and my daughter who lives in California.
And her name is?
Melody. Sylvia Melody.
All right. When the bus was there and you heard about it, you were nervous, of course.
Well, yeah. When I look back on it, I'm glad that we had the faith that we did in that, because when you look at that March on Washington and all those people there, and all the stuff that was going on at that time and the things that had happened to the people who were in those marches, it was something to allow your children to go all the way to Washington, D.C. to be in a march on Washington.
So we should point out here in 62, there was an organized nonviolent protest in Birmingham, Alabama, which attracted national attention because of the brutal police response. So I'm sure you were thinking, well, I know what happened there.
Yes.
This is going to happen in Washington.
Yeah, but I don't know, and I think there must have been a whole lot of prayers and things going on around, because when I look at that now and see all that mass of people and know what could have happened, and it went off without a hitch.
Right. And this, of course, is where Martin Luther King delivered his I Have a Dream speech.
He was here, too,
Did you see him?
Yes, I did.
Okay, tell us about
at the airport.
Yeah, he was at First Baptist on Greenwood. And when he came, I went, and the place was packed. The First Baptist Church was packed. By the time I got there, it was standing room only. And I stood there, and my pastor, Ben Hill, was the person who introduced him. Ben Hill had a way with words. He was quite a speaker. I didn't know anything about Martin Luther King. I didn't know, I said to the person standing next to me, I said, if this man can't speak, Reverend Hill just killed me, because his introduction was so, I said, he's dead. Had no idea. And then I found out then how people followed him. I stood there for 2 hours with high-heel shoes on and never moved a muscle. There was just something about him that just, you didn't even want to breathe to miss a word that he said. But really what got me was when Reverend Hill introduced him and how he built him and all he said and how he said it. And I thought, oh, Lord, if this man cannot make a speech, he is dead.
Judy, were you there for that?
I was just a kid. Okay. Yeah, I remember going to the airport, the old airport, the small airport, and meeting him, but he meant nothing. Yeah. I mean, honestly,
right. Well,
he didn't mean anything.
This was 63 then, wasn't it, that he came to Tulsa?
It was before.
It had to be before.
It was before.
Because you hadn't heard of him. So then, Judy, a bit about your experience there, and how close were you to Martin Luther King when he delivered this speech and some of that stuff?
First of all, let me just say I did not go because I was looking at what was going on historically. I had never been out of Oklahoma. That's the only reason I wanted to go.
They had no idea. She had no idea.
To be really honest about it. And my sister reminded me that we rode until we got to, I think, Pennsylvania somewhere. I can't remember. But they kept tight reins on us. And once we got there, the only thing that I really remember when we were marching was being up on the building. When I look back down, the policeman security. But it didn't scare me. I had never been around so many whites. And to see the sea of people, I was just fascinated. And so I peripherally heard Martin Luther King. We were at the reflecting thing. I walked kind of close to the steps. We had tight reins. We had to be back to get gone out of there. So I remember hearing him. I was fairly close, but I couldn't figure out why he kept repeating himself. I have a dream. I didn't know what he was dreaming about till I got to OU. Then I understood.
Yeah. Was it life-changing?
Well, not then. Not in Washington. OU was the life-changing. Then, believe it or not, I ended up being a part of the Black Panthers here in Tulsa with Wilbur Brown, which just about drove both of them crazy.
What did you feel about that?
You know what?
I kept it a secret.
We were not aware.
Till I came home and told
Don't ever say what your kids won't do.
Exactly.
Because you don't know if they are not in your sight. You don't know what they are doing. You just don't know what they did. Never dreamed that she would be doing anything like that. Never. But you see, this is how this kind of thing affects people. If you're not careful, you could be.
I was so angry.
Bitter. She was so bitter after
all
having.
Whites. My mother, them kept telling me, you're doing the same thing that you accuse whites. When whites say, all black people are lazy, all black people are steal. I was just so angry. But if I hadn't had the foundation, I don't know where I would have ended up. Because I was trying to get where Angela Davis was in the Black Panthers in San Francisco. And I was just going to be part of the revolution, get killed.
And what caused you to change?
She woke up and realized.
Well, we had no agenda. And we went on Greenwood where the prostitutes used to. We were going to protect the prostitutes from the police. Hey, okay.
That's what I mean.
We had talked revolution, but I had never been around guns. So when the police came, we were on Orchard, Greenwood. The guys handed the women the guns. And the police never checked us. Never. Never checked the girls. They were busy with the guys. It was a German Luger gun. I didn't know anything about guns, but they told me. And I put it in my pocket. When the police left, I was so scared. And all I was thinking about was Dad. God, if Daddy caught me, because he always said, go to jail, get in trouble, do not call.
Don't call me.
And he meant it. We knew he meant it. And I knew I had gone a bridge too far.
Yeah, I think.
And when the police left, I handed the gun back to him. And I said, you know what? I'm finished. I looked around. None of them had gone to college. I was the only one in college. And I thought, my daddy's worked 2 jobs, cleaning up, working at the post office. And it just snapped. That incident snapped. But what also helped me then is I met Bernard, and he was into politics, the more establishment. And I had to tone down a whole bunch of my anger, even though I still was pretty. I mean, he always said if he lost, it'd be because of me and my mouth. But it wasn't.
We should identify him as Bernie McIntyre.
Yeah.
Who became a state representative as well.
And senator, but we weren't married when he was a senator. Okay. So that introduction into the world of politics, I found a more legitimate outlet for making change. And Daddy said, it's okay to be passionate and believe in something, but you do it from the inside, not on the outside, throwing stones. I never will forget. I had all the tools, but the anger and stuff after OU just deleted all of it for me. And it was a slow process back because when I got a divorce from my first husband, came back, got a job in child welfare. I said, I don't want any white clients. They were stupid enough. Can you believe DHS? I said, I want no white clients. They didn't give me any white clients.
Department of Human Services?
As a social worker.
And you didn't want
white clients. And they didn't assign me white clients initially.
Because of your anger?
My anger.
You didn't want to help them? How long did that attitude continue?
Oh, maybe about a year. Because I wouldn't even go to lunch with the white workers. I wouldn't talk with them except to have to answer questions and stuff. But my good friend today, Meredith Anque, was just determined that, oh no, you're not going to come here and isolate yourself from us. She stayed on me. You're going to go to lunch? No. She kept talking to me. And finally, I was able to let all of that go and get back into liking people and choosing people not by the color. I understood what Martin Luther King said, not by the color, whether it was white or black, but by the content.
So that in some ways, it was reverse discrimination on your part.
It was. Oh, yeah. They used to say I was a racist, and I proudly said I am. And it drove mother.
Some people.
Okay, I was going to tell you. You knew she was going through all this then, didn't you?
Yeah.
And how did that affect you? How did that make you feel?
I kept hoping and praying. My thing was, you know what? All people are not that way. All whites are not that way. Think of all the people who marched with Martin Luther King. Think of the ones who were killed.
Yeah.
Because they were so you can't do like we used to feel that they classify all blacks as the same. They put them all in the same category, you know. But you can't do that. People are not all the same. We're all individuals. Everybody has his own individuality.
Yeah. That must have been a big day, though, when you, Judy, and for you, when she graduated from OU.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
in 4 years, because that's the other thing. Daddy gave us 4 years. So all that politicking and raising hell, I had 4 years. No more.
And he also said, if you get there and you decide you're going to get married, fine. Then you'll have somebody else to take care of you and send you to school.
So none of us got married in time.
But they couldn't wait to finish. Every one of them, the minute they got finished, they got married.
Got married. And then that's the other thing that I told Mother them that, I mean, they were wonderful parents, but they also didn't teach us. I thought every man was like my daddy, responsible and stuff. I didn't know that. I did not know that.
Did you date at OU much?
One guy, and I married him. Howard Johnson.
Okay.
And that lasted 8 months.
See, I wanted to major in art. Daddy wouldn't let me. Said no money. So he played basketball. He wanted to go to the gym and stuff. He didn't want to go to the museums. And when I was standing up there getting married, I knew I didn't want to be married, but I didn't know in 1967 that Mother them could have called a wedding on. Because I had a fairy tale wedding. I got my dress at Miss Jackson's in 1960. When I told Daddy 8 months later, hey, Daddy, I'm coming home. I'm getting divorced. He said, hell, I have finished paying for this wedding.
But he was understanding and accepted that. He could have told you to go back and work it out.
He said from the very beginning, when Howard came to Tulsa to ask for my hand in marriage, Daddy said, well, I would prefer that she go and get her master's and wait to get married. But then I told Daddy, I did exactly what you asked me to do. I finished college, and I'm in love. And so he said, good luck. Yeah. And then he told me when he met Bernard, he said, that boy's immature. Dad, you can't tell me.
You have some comments along these lines, Jeanne?
I just like Mama said, boat learning is the best learning. That's what she always told us. Boat learning is the best learning.
Like I went ahead and made a decision. Okay, I'm going to marry.
Pay for it. That's your best learning. When you have to pay for something that you learned. That's what she always told us.
Daddy let you make a decision. If that's what you were going to do, then fine. But the lessons you learn out of don't come complaining to him.
In your lifetime, as you look back, are these the best times, or when you were 60 to 70, 70 to 80, 80 to 89, or has it all been good?
You know what? Every era has its own goodness. I can't think that there's any worse in any part of it. Life gets better all the time the way you look at it. You know, it really does. If you look at things in a positive area, we have too many little hang-ups about different things. We're too quick to judge and too quick to be upset about things. That's a problem. Life is really good if you let it be. That my feeling is, you know, life gets better all the time. And right now it's no better than this. It can't get any better.
Yeah. Did you ever have any health issues, major health issues at all?
Well, not major.
No?
She's in better shape than I'm in.
I got some bad knees right
Oh, that's all?
right now, yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
But,
So if I ask you what's the toughest part of getting old, what would you say?
you know what? There's really no tough part in getting old. You know, you change physically. Luckily for me, I've been blessed not to have a lot of problems. And like I said, you know, I got these little old knees, but I'm still, as the lady said, walking upright. Judy told her how old I was, and she said, "You mean she's still walking upright?" I sure am. Really, I have no complaints. I cannot really complain about anything. Everybody has a few little things that happen in their life.
Do you take any medication right now?
Oh, yeah. Blood pressure medicine.
Okay. Well, that's
And that's fairly recent.
Mm-hmm.
I was taking blood pressure medicine before she was.
And she gave you blood pressure.
Oh,
yeah.
Here you are, 89. We've talked about Martin Luther King, and we've talked about the OU days. Is racism still here, but it's not as bad, or how do you feel today?
Yeah, it is, but it's out in the open. And, you know, anymore, it's blatant. People who are racist don't mind you knowing that they are racist. That's the feeling because when I see things like with the president, when they do all of these little ugly things and say all these little things, they want you to know exactly how they feel about it. So it's open. It's in the open. So you don't get away with anything anymore without being called on it.
As an elegant and beautiful lady as you are, and as you go about our town, do you feel any racism toward you at all?
No, I don't even let it touch me. It can't even hurt me.
No, but do you sense it?
Well, anymore, I don't come in contact with those kind of people. I just see it on TV. I see it.
But you don't sense it yourself.
I don't sense it myself at all.
Right. Students will be listening to this. Do you have any advice to high school students, college students?
My thing is, actually, if you treat people the way you want to be treated, it's a simple thing. Anything you don't want said or done to you, don't do it to anybody else. Mm-hmm. It's as simple as that to me. Life is really simple.
So as you look back, what are you most proud of?
I'm proud of all these 4 kids of mine and their accomplishments. They did exactly what they were supposed to. They got their education and they're using it the way that they should.
all of us.
That's what I said. I said these 4 kids, all 4 of them. I mean, in their own field, everybody has made us proud. Their dad would be very proud to know that they've all accomplished what we wanted them to do, and they're all still doing what they want to do.
And you sent her to our state legislature and was effective over there. Judy, your comments as you reflect on your parents and how they tremendous influence on you, what would you say?
I was blessed to have 2 wonderful parents who believed that education was the key to success in life. Also, while my father wasn't in church all the time, Mother had us in church and taught us the values of how to live with others and how to treat others. And I grew up thinking that everybody's folks went to college. I did not realize how unusual that was for my generation. As a social worker, I worked in child abuse and neglect and came in contact with lots of parents and children who were born somewhat out of the loop. And I reflect back on my life, and I was just so blessed to have wonderful parents.
Yeah, you talked about your dad.
My dad died when he was 46.
So how old were you?
I was probably in my 20s. I had finished college. Mother got married 22 years after Daddy died. In fact, I didn't think she was ever going to get married.
I was widowed 20 years.
Yeah, so.
And
Did you ever think you'd ever get married?
I didn't plan to. Everything set up. I was traveling and doing everything I wanted.
So then you met, and what was his name?
Dale Phillips.
Where is he?
We lived out from Sand Springs.
They live on 6 acres. He built her a home.
Is he still with you, alive today?
Oh, yeah. He's younger than I am. He's 6 years younger than I am. He didn't know that when he first. I met him with Judy at a summer fair, and he had seen me at several places. He was like most of the young men who knew me. They always thought I was much younger. But I never let anybody get away with the idea that I'm not that young woman that you think I am. And, of course, I told him immediately how old I was when he first met me.
Okay, all right. As you look back, how would you like to be remembered?
Oh, dear. I just want to be remembered as Jeanne. I just want to be remembered as a good person.
Yeah.
A person who loved life and people. Nothing spectacular. I'm proud of a lot of things. The accomplishment with 4 children. My biggest pride is in the accomplishments that they've made that we desired for them.
Yeah.
But that's it.
Well, this was wonderful. I thank you both.
Good. Well, I know you had a script that we
basically followed it.
Okay, because I tend to get my talking
No, but I knew
from my
that.
mom.
You get it from her?
You have been listening to the Voices of Oklahoma podcast, stories taken from the oral history website, voicesofoklahoma.com. At the website, you will discover an array of storytellers. Many you will know. Some will be new to you, but all will be worth your time. This work depends on listeners like you, who are interested in learning about the great people of Oklahoma. Our website provides an opportunity to donate to this 501c3 project, which preserves Oklahoma history, one voice at a time. voicesofoklahoma.com.